officially live on Facebook for the Thursday edition of the Not Your Average Investor Show, the JWB Rental Liquor Property of the Week. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez. With me, as always, the man that I affectionately call GC, because he's got genius concepts. He knows how to generate cash flow, because he's a great co-host, and because his name is Gregg Cohen. Hello, Gregg.
Hello, everybody. Great to be with you on this Thursday.
And we have, as always, we have our community manager, our teammate out there, Madison. Say hello, Madison. Hello, everybody. And today we got a very special guest investor. He was, he might have been the MVP of the IRL meetup in December. I didn't see anybody having a better time than him that day. From Jupiter, Florida, all the way originally by way of New Jersey. Anthony Dida, aka Tony D, in the house. Welcome, Tony D.
Hey guys, thank you so much. Hello, everybody.
Good to have you, Tony D. Good to have the community in full effect. We already got folks checking in the chat. We ready for the roll call?
I've been waiting for the roll call.
Tony D, you ready for the roll call?
Ready for the roll call. Let's go.
Roll call time. Let's go. Lee Bishop, MVP of the Not Your Average Investor Show community, in the house. Good afternoon, everybody. Carl Thompson, good morning, everyone. Happy to see you all. Bill Shields, buenas tardes. Lluviosas, damas y caballero. That's rainy in Spanish. I know you've been taking Spanish classes, so you know. Yeah, we got Madison's welcoming everybody in the chat. If you need anything, Madison can help you out. If you're new in here, check in so Madison can give you an extra welcome. Let us know in the chat. We got Leo checking in from California. Good morning. Oh, Leo, you used to put Leo F. Now you got the full name there. So it's Lero Faraganan. Faraganan.
I don't know.
Let us know, Leo. Leo, let us know. John Henning, good afternoon, all. We got Michael Kubata. He's back in the house. Good morning, everyone. Who else we got? We got Jag Chada. Welcome back, Jad. I hadn't seen you in a while. We got Marilyn Gotterman from Homosassa, Florida.
It's the home of the manatees.
She says, yo, ho, ho from Homosassa. I like it. We got Joanna checking in. Welcome back, Joanna. We got Noah Randari saying hello, everybody. And we got Sean Hanna from Hampton, Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia. I've heard it's a Commonwealth. The esteemed Commonwealth of Virginia. Welcome, Sean. And if you're just joining on the podcast, we love you for listening on the podcast. But you should join us live. Go to nyais.com. Hang out with us on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Become a legend like Tony D, and your life will be greatly, greatly improved. So now let's get started. We got breaking news. GC, what's the breaking news?
It's breaking. I didn't even realize it. Oh my goodness. The breaking news alert just gets better and better and better every single week. Yeah, we have got some amazing news to share. This has been something, JWB is a vertically integrated company, right? We are here to produce the best risk-adjusted returns for you, and it goes beyond just collecting rent for you. And it's beyond just selling you a property in a neighborhood that's going to grow over time, right? We are doing those things externally to raise median incomes in Jacksonville, because when you raise median incomes, you lift the ceiling off of what your returns can be. If you don't raise median incomes, it doesn't matter what supply and demand is doing. If people can't afford it, your property values don't grow. So we do a lot, and sometimes it takes years and years and years for that beautiful breaking news alert to pop up to where I get to share just a big win. But there is a big win happening in one of our 4 core neighborhoods. It's in the Arlington neighborhood in Jacksonville. And this is a property that we purchased. It's a shopping center that was in disrepair for many, many years. We purchased this shopping center, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And we have been working for a long time to revitalize the shopping center and also improve the amenities in the shopping center. People told us for years that we could not have a grocer in the shopping center because it's hard to get a grocery store in the shopping centers, right? When you do that, a lot of other good things start to happen. Other restaurants, other businesses start to spring up. More jobs happen for that community. So getting a grocer in your shopping center is a big deal. And what I get to share with you guys today is that we landed a grocer in our shopping center in College Park. They just released it. We just, of course, have that positive news to share. It was just written about in the Jacksonville Daily Record.
Let's go.
And yeah, so it's an amazing thing for that area. I'll give you just a little bit of the numbers that I pulled here. It's going to bring 100 jobs to that, just for that. It's a Winn-Dixie, by the way. Winn-Dixie, which was actually in the same spot 17 years ago, but left. It wasn't viable for them at that point. And of course, we are bringing this thing back. So they are coming back. We're excited to have them as a partner. They're going to be opening up the store in 2023. And when we have them in the shopping center, it will then be 72% occupied, which is really incredible. Again, right off the bat, having 72% occupancy is a big win for us, but it's only the beginning. So in addition to revitalizing this shopping center called College Park, we are also bringing additional apartments to that area, this kind of mixed use concept where you bring residential and that helps feed all the businesses around. We're going to be doing that on that location. We're also bringing a shipping container food court to College Park. This will be done in the second phase of development. And then something else, right? This vertically integrated approach goes beyond just the dollars and cents. We work with the partners here locally, nonprofits, to help, support them in a number of ways through volunteering or through other ways. And one of those other ways is that we are allowing a couple of nonprofits to use our space, right? So one of the nonprofits is called Suited for Success. And this nonprofit is going to lease 2,000 square feet in College Park at the incredibly attractive lease rate of $1. $1, Bob. And Suited for Success provides job training and new wardrobes to men who are in need. And their mission is to empower men seeking employment and re-entry back into the community by providing interview suits along with personal and professional development service. So a really cool story. They will be one of our residents, one of our tenants. We're talking commercial now. So one of our tenants in the space. And in addition to that, we're leasing space at Jacksonville University at the incredibly attractive rate of $1.
$1, Bob.
So they're going to be using 1,000 square feet. So this is just a big win for Arlington, which is one of our 4 core neighborhoods. Many of you on the show are investing in Arlington right now. And this is one of the things we do to improve values, improve returns on investment far beyond just collecting rents.
Vertical integration, y'all.
Boom.
Jack Chatham wants to know what zip code that is.
That is 32211.
You call that an anchor tenant, right? When you get when you get like a grocer that then can like kind of carry the weight and makes it a livable area, right?
Exactly. The value of every other commercial tenant right around there is improved because people go to grocery stores and they buy stuff from other tenants in that commercial strip center there.
There you go. There you go. That is great news for the community. Great news for Jacksonville. Great news for Arlington. Great news for investors. Great news for defining what is truly vertical integration when it comes to turnkey rental income properties and not. Other great news, we got the patriarch of the first family of the Not Your Average Investor Show. Ken Moline is in the house. He has checked in.
See you, Ken.
We got Drew Barnhill. He just checked in. And we got the fairy godmother of the Not Your Average Investor Show community. She just checked in and she just closed on her 4th house with JWB.
She just texted me and let me know that she's closing, I think, as we speak right now. Jen, congratulations on the recent additions. I think there have been 2 recent additions in probably the last year or so to your portfolio. Super, super happy for you and Renee.
Super happy for you and Renee, Jen. We love you. And now to the star of the show, our guest investor, Tony D, AKA Anthony Ditta. Tony, tell us a little bit about how much have you invested in, kind of like what does your portfolio look like these days, where you're coming in from, and how did you get connected in this community to become a guest investor?
Okay, great. So thank you. All right. So I joined JWB via Fortune Builders back in 2019. I bought my first 2 properties in 2019. They were both 3.2s. I bought my 3rd property in 2020, another 3.2, with this one had a 2-car garage versus the 1. And happy to say my 4th property is currently being built, which is going to be, it's exciting for me for that. So yeah, so I'll have a total of 4 by year end.
Man, that's incredible. That is incredible. I Anthony, Tony D, however I get to call you today. You've meant a lot to not just to JWB, but this community. You've been one of the kind of the standard bearers for the community, right? When we're doing something, when we're doing a meetup, Tony D's there, right? You're here on the show. And it means so much to us, here, Pablo, myself, Madison, everybody who works so hard on this show. To know that you're here with us and supporting is wonderful. And to know that we're supporting you and helping you grow your portfolio as well.
Right.
I did have a question though. I was doing some of the notes before. Is it 4 properties? Because I was looking up the notes and I thought maybe there was a 5th one as well. Is there one other contract?
There was a 5th one, and the 5th one it was a buyback for you guys. So I like about it. And I was working with the numbers with the refi of my 3 properties, and it's gonna be really tight for me to do the 4th one.
Cool.
So I'm kind of like,
I just wanted to make sure that my prep work on the back end, which I'm going to
Oh,
show you,
no,
we're going to talk about a fifth one. So we'll X that one until it
Yeah.
makes sense for your financials. But I just wanted to make sure I was doing it the right way.
And listen, if you're tuning in and you want to be a guest investor like Tony D today, we are open for it. Let Madison know in the chat. Let's do this. You ready to test your guest investor chops, Tony?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, let's go. Let's do this. All right, here we go. We're magically being whisked away.
Oh, there we go. Beautiful.
2969. It's a little harder for me to see these days when I got the screen way in front of me. 2969 Plum Street. We got a purchase price of $290,000. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, 2-car garage. Estimated rent range at $1,737. These rents are going up, man. I like it.
Way up.
It's
right?
going way up.
Way up. I double check these like half the time before I present them to you guys. I'm like, really? We're getting that high a rent?
It's cool, man. It's cool. And what JWB investors come for, right? This estimated conventional financing, total monthly cash flow of 58 and total ROI of 7.17%. Before we kick it off to our guest investor, GC, what do you like about this property?
Well, here's what I love about this property. For those who are part of the client only call on Monday or the show on Tuesday, where we did the Jacksonville real estate market update, you heard me talk about macro factors that are leading towards a lack of inventory for the overall marketplace and for JWB clients. In the very near term, I estimate somewhere in the next 2 to 8 weeks, there's going to be a waiting list to be able to invest with JWB. And if you're outside of JWB and you're in the real world of buying rental properties, you already are on a waiting list, or you're already waiting 3 months, 6 months, 9 months to put something under contract. So JWB, unfortunately, macro factors are kind of leading towards that reality that a waiting list is coming. A waiting list means that when you make the decision to put something under contract, you're just gonna have to wait a little while, right? So that's not ideal. So what do I love about this property? It's available. It is available. In addition to the 5 profit centers as the reason to invest, the other reason to invest in a rental property right now is availability. Availability, right? Because right now, if you can make a decision to invest in a rental property, your interest rate is lower today than it will be in the future. Your purchase price today is lower than it will be in the future. And if you flip that on its head and you make that same decision to buy that same rental property a year from now, your return on investment will be lower. Your expected return on investment will be lower. So availability today for something that you can put under contract and close on is incredibly important. And this one's available. This one is available. This is a company-owned property. And so as we kind of near closer and closer to this waiting list concept, one of the things that my business partners and I at JWB did to smooth this transition is we released 40 properties from our own company inventory in the exact same neighborhoods as all of the properties we recommend our clients to purchase. And so this is one of those properties. Of course, once those 40 are exhausted, that's when the waiting list will come into effect. So this is a company-owned property. When it's a company-owned property, Pablo, do you think that we have a lot of company-owned property that we've seasoned for a while that are vacant?
I would imagine no.
No, we're really good at keeping houses rented. So this one is occupied. It is rented. And for you, what that means, it's going to be cash flow positive day one. It's already producing positive cash flow for us right now. And you'll be able to take advantage of that, which is almost unheard of in the turnkey rental property space right now. Usually you have a waiting list, and then when you wait to put it under contract, you wait to have it built. And then once it gets completed, you wait to have it filled with the resident. You don't have to do any of that waiting. And then the last reason why I love this property, I can't just choose one reason. The last reason is this little thing that we call a $4,800 buyer credit at closing.
That is attractive.
Yeah. For the 2 properties, did you have a buyer credit for any of the properties you purchased? I can't remember.
I don't know if it was a buyer credit. Is the buyer credit the same thing as like when a turn happens that I'm going to be credited something?
Similar. It's not the exact same thing, but you walked in knowing that you were going to have a property turn budget covered for you. We would call that more of like a maintenance or repairs, credit for you. At the end of the day, they all help you because they give you this financial security coming into this investment. This buyer credit is because the amount that it's rented for right now is actually under market value. Oh, you saw that 1737.
Yeah.
Right. Rents have jumped up a lot. Right now, this resident has been there for a long time and they're doing well. right? Sometimes when that happens, right, if we're undervaluing rents, we need to make sure that we still provide that same opportunity for you to earn this return on investment. And we credit you the difference for a period of 2 years. So this house is actually under rented by $200 a month. $200 times 24 months gets you to $4,800 of buyer credit. And that means you walk in and the day that you close the property, you literally receive this $4,800 when you buy it.
It's attractive.
So there's a lot to like there.
A lot to like. Tony, when you look at this, is this thing available?
It is available.
All right, this thing is available. Tony, when you're looking at this Excel sheet, right, and you're looking at this property, these pictures and these numbers, where does your eye go first? How do you start analyzing it?
Well, I'm looking at the rent here. It's like crazy. The prices too, have gone up. I know this is a 4-bedroom, so most of mine are 3.2s. As an investor, I probably wouldn't go for a price that's this high for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the numbers go, like Gregg said, it's already rented. You're generating positive cash flow off the begin out of the gate. I think that's really attractive as well. And I think having somebody in the property, as all of mine have had as an investor, is definitely a win-win. So that's what I like about it. So yeah.
I love the transparency. I love Tony coming here on the show, looking at this and saying, you know what, I probably wouldn't invest in this one because of the purchase price. I think this is incredible.
Yeah, I think, Greg, thanks, man. I just, no one how my money is being managed and how I'm managing my money, that would put me a little bit over the top. But I think, down the road, and I know that this price is going to go up, as you stated, as all the properties in Jacksonville are going. So I think that, it's going to be a win-win for one of our friends out there. So I'm sure it's not going to last too long.
That's perfect, right? I love the fact that we don't even talk about that until the very end.
Yeah.
Like, it brings a tear to my eye because we need to be looking at the numbers before the pictures and everything. And Tony, it is great that this one doesn't work for you. I guess, the question that I always have when it comes to a budget, right? That's why we're here as a resource, to make sure that we're looking at, everybody has a limited amount of funds and we're looking to put that into the right number of assets, and budget comes up a lot. And that's a wonderful thing because then we can say, okay, well, should we be focusing on lower priced homes? Sometimes because of budget, we're going to focus on higher priced homes, right? Like, for example, if we have a certain amount of 1031 profits that we need to move into a 1031 exchange, we might look for a higher priced home here and a higher priced home here. So it can go both ways. And the most important thing to look at when you're, depending on wherever your budget is, whether it's a little bit lower, a little bit higher, whatever it is, return on investment is the great equalizer, right? Because as asset managers like we are, our job, no matter if we're putting $50,000 of capital into place, 70,000, whatever it may be in terms of a down payment, we need to make sure that that money is working hard for us. And that's why we're going to look for return on investment first, right? We're going to look at purchase price. We're going to look at some of those things. And if it works for the budget, that's great. If not, we're going to come up with a plan for the right budget, but we're not going to sacrifice returns on investment.
Makes sense. Tony, when you're thinking about that price point, are you thinking, because obviously you have a budget, but how do you look at the idea of multiple homes versus one home and how much you're trying to diversify right now?
That's a good question, Pablo. I think that for me, as I mentioned earlier on, is that, I had the 5th property, but, the finances weren't working for the 5th property for now. I'll probably kick myself in the butt, 6 months from now when that property jumps up in value. But yeah, I think I would rather diversify more in more properties.
So lower priced homes, more properties.
Right, more properties, and then as those prices go up in value, and the rents go up in value, I have a plan, and we'll talk about that later on. What my whole plan is for my investing with JWB, and I'll go into more detail about that later on. But yeah,
cool. So let's do that. So for now, why don't you tell us about you want to talk us through the total monthly cash flow and the total ROI, and kind of when you look at these numbers, what do you see?
For me, I'm a conventional investor, so I'm looking at conventional money. $58 a month. And I'm in like a different position, I think, than a lot of investors here, in my view, that people that are younger than I. I'm 61 years old. So for me, when I look at the $58 cash flow, I'm thinking like, wow, I want to have multiple properties, and that cash flow, as I'm looking on my exit strategy for my career, it's a little bit low. I mean, I would like the cash flow more in the 1160 range, which is, at total purchase price, but I could not afford that right now, but there's people out there that can. So for me, the cash flow is a little bit low, so what I'm generating now for my 3 properties, I have a pretty good positive cash flow each month on those 3 properties, and I'm very happy with it. So, and I know people out there are thinking about other twisting the numbers around and things of that, but for me, the cash flow would be low for me.
Yeah, and I've been investing for 16 years here, and guess what? This cash flow is low compared.
Yeah,
it's going down.
It's usually closer to $100, right?
Yeah, so my next property that I'll be purchasing, just so you guys know, is going to be a non-recourse loan I'm taking out. So I opened up a self-directed IRA, sold a 401k. So that's already funded. So I'm excited to utilize that for my next purchase. So.
Well, that's really interesting, because now the concept of cash flow changes completely when it's in your retirement account than when it's outside of your retirement account, right? Because this same property will produce more cash flow if it's in a non-recourse loan, simply because of the type of the loan, right? And you're putting 50% down generally instead of 75 or 80% down.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll keep it in the conventional side first, and then we'll go to the non-recourse side, and just to let people know about cash flows, they're going away. We've been talking about this for a year now, right? This concept that positive cash flow is a right to invest in real estate, it has never been that way. It's just been a factor of the last 10 years where prices were so low and rents were still high. Now where investors are going to be going, especially over the next year, it's going to be even more. You're going to hear me beat this drum over and over and over again. If you don't know about the other 4 profit centers, you wouldn't invest in rental properties if you don't know about the other 4 profit centers. Cash flow has always been, and what will absolutely be more in the future, it has always been the standard of getting into the game. It has never been the overall reason to invest in rental properties. If it was $100 or $150 a month, still not going to change Anthony's life. Still not going to change anybody's life.
Oh, yeah.
It's the standard to get in there. That standard is, it's break even really at this point, right? Yep. That's the standard. And then you let all these other 4 profit centers blossom over holding for a full market cycle.
Yeah. Cause this community is so awesome. I spoke with Lee Bishop at one of our calls, and we talked about, strategies as far as money. And Lee brought up the idea about the non-recourse. And I really know a lot about it. I talked to my real estate coach, and we kind of went through it, and she hooked me up with a company, and it was pretty simple to do. So, it's good to have, eggs in different baskets, right? Which we like to do. So, yeah.
I would love to have you kind of walk everybody through what non-recourse is, talk about, how you do that in your retirement account, and then why it makes sense for you to do that for your situation. I think everybody would get a ton of value out of that.
Yeah. So the non-recourse, it's really great. So, if you have an IRA, which I still have, you can't buy real estate through that, right? So with the non-recourse loan that I have right now, so I was able to, and it's divided. You have a 401, and then you have the IRA side of it, which actually protects the money of your asset when you buy it. And again, I probably get it wrong because it's very confusing.
I'll help. I got you.
So I have a 401k, which I opened up, right? So I transferred funds from my IRA. So I have some in there, which is actually been going up through this whole craziness that we're living through right now. So what I did was I moved some money over, and it allowed me to take that money. Now, if I do non-recourse loans, 50%, right? So I'll take the 50% of that. The 401 will be purchasing the property, right? So it's being purchased through the 401. And all the profits from that, the rent and the appreciation, goes back into my account. So down the road, I can then, and it's protected from taxes on it, right? So down the road, I'll be able to pull funds from that tax-free, right? Which is, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I want to do that with all of mine, but at this point in time, I can only do the one. So I'll start with one, and we'll go down the road. And also, what's great about that too is that with the 401, I now have access to funds to borrow against, right? I can borrow up to 50% of your 401 or $50,000, which is whatever it is. The max is $50,000. So you have that at your beck and call, if you will, and you're paying the interest is going back to you instead of to a bank. I actually have plans for that already. So to me, that was very attractive. Yeah.
So many good things there. Let me just make sure I'm setting the stage well so that I can understand and so that others who might not be familiar can understand.
Sure.
It sounds like you set up it sounds like a solo 401k is the new type of 401k that you set up. Am I understanding that correctly?
Right. It's called the self-directed. Well, so not the right IRA, self-directed solo 401k.
Solo 401k. Yep.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know.
I got you. You know, we all hear 401k, right? And generally that's through your employer, right? There are limitations to what you can invest in a traditional company employer-based 401k.
Right.
When you are an entrepreneur, right, or you have your own business, you can set up your own what's called a solo 401k, and you remove a lot of those restrictions. And Correct. So that's what Anthony has done, right? He has set up a solo 401k. Now he can invest in real estate. He can do other things like private lending in that solo 401k, right? Now, the IRA is something that's different, right? An IRA is another retirement vehicle. You can actually invest in an IRA. You can invest in real estate in an IRA. You just can't typically do real estate in an employer-sponsored 401k.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah,
and there's a lot of advantages if you're thinking about different vehicles outside of your employer 401k. There's a lot of advantages to a solo 401k, but there's not everybody can do it. So I would advise you to look into that, do your due diligence, talk with your CPA before just running and going and doing that. But if you can get one, if you qualify, it's incredible.
Yeah. Excellent. Jag's got a question. Jag Chata asked in the chat, do you think it's worth buying via non-recourse given the disadvantage of not being able to write off depreciation plus low cash flow? And I can pop the property back up on the screen if you want to break down the cash flow.
Yeah, I can definitely go into that one. Anthony, do you have any thoughts on that, or do you want me to run with that one?
No, I think you should run with it.
I put him on the hot seat enough so far, right?
I'm limited. So I would much rather hear from you. So go ahead.
So question is, does it still make sense to do that knowing that you can't write off depreciation and that cash flows are lower? So the important thing to consider here, Jag, is that your ability to buy a rental property outside of retirement accounts should be thought of differently than your ability to buy a rental property inside of your retirement accounts. They're like apples and oranges, right? When you're making your decision on buying a rental property inside your retirement account, you should compare that against your alternatives inside that retirement account, as well as other things like how diversified are you, right? Inside a retirement account, many people have way too much. They are way too heavily invested in stocks and bonds. There's really nothing else for most people in a retirement account. So there is inherent advantage to having at least a third leg to the stool there, which can be real estate, private lending, syndications, anything outside of stocks and bonds. There's just inherent value in doing that. So that might be something to consider. So it may be the best alternative for you in your situation, Jag, but you should compare it against where your money is in your retirement accounts right now, because you can't take that money out and spend that anywhere else, right? It has to stay within that retirement account. So you're limited to the options in that retirement account. Now, you bring up the fact that you can't take depreciation on properties that are inside your retirement account, whereas you can do that on properties that are outside your retirement account. The thing to consider here is, what's the ultimate goal? The reason we love taking depreciation on properties that are outside of our retirement account, like conventionally financed properties that we talk about all the time, the reason is because we're trying to defer taxes. We use depreciation that we write off as an expense to defer the taxes we otherwise would need to pay on rental income that we're receiving. So the goal here is deferring taxes. Well, when you are buying properties in your retirement accounts, you already have that built in. You don't need extra depreciation. you already have either a tax deferred account or maybe a tax-free account, which would be a Roth account. So you're already there. So the fact that I don't get to take depreciation in my retirement account for my rental properties doesn't matter at all to me. Like I'm already there. I'm already getting it. And then cash flows, right? So now because this is a completely different asset investing in your retirement account versus outside of your retirement account, your standards for what's a good deal need to change, right? Inside a retirement account, debt is less advantageous because banks don't lend to retirement accounts typically. There's only a small handful of lenders out there that will actually lend to a retirement account, and they call it a non-recourse loan. And their terms are not as great as what Fannie Mae would provide for conventionally financed properties. So you're going to be putting 50% down instead of maybe 20 or 25% down. Your interest rates are going to be higher, right? Upwards of 6-7%, maybe even higher. Back in the day when I was doing this in the beginning, it was 12% loans for non-recourse loans. And because you do that, right, your cash flows and your return on investment, absent of appreciation, are going to be lower. So for all things like anything else, Jag, and most of my answers would say we need to have more of a detailed conversation if it's the right thing for you. So I would encourage you, if you haven't reached out to my team yet, set up a time to speak with my team. We're happy to go through this financial plan with you well before we would ever talk about buying a property with us. So I think that would be a great opportunity for you. And largely it's going to be determined by your goals, your resources, and your alternatives, specifically in the retirement account space.
Great discussion on innovative ways to get into this asset class right now, that it's a really, really good opportunity. I want to take the opportunity to let's get to know Tony a little bit more. Tony, before you got into real estate, were you looking at different things outside of the market? Like how did you end up getting into this asset class?
Yeah. All right. So I spent my 35 plus years in pharmaceuticals. Supply chain was my expertise. And back in 2008, 9, I unfortunately was part of the restructuring at my company, and outside looking in. So I was looking at different opportunities, and I actually bought a Supercuts license. Right, it was like $25,000, and they had this whole. You got to the corporate headquarters, this whole big giant dog and pony show, and tell you all these sacred, multiple stores, blah blah blah. So I was intrigued by that, and I always wanted to own my own business, right? And I wanted something that was recession-proof, right? So, everyone needs a haircut. So at that point in time, I decided to go with the Supercuts, and I bought the license. It cost me $25,000. They helped me find a location, which was fantastic. It was right next to a daycare center, brand new. It's called Primrose. It's a high-end daycare center. That was brand new. It was a strip mall. There was 3 stores there. Mine was one of the 3. Next to that was a coffee shop. And on the other side of me was going to be a children's clothing store. And behind that was an elementary. I'm like, this is a gold mine, right? There's young kids everywhere. So I went there one night, and I was having dinner at the restaurant next door, and the guy, his property was adjacent to where my store was, told me that they couldn't put a store in because of none of the parking spots for the salons. You need 6 chairs, you need like 6 parking spots for your customers, and then plus the stylist. So that kind of fell apart. Found another one that fell apart, and if I just said I couldn't deal with it anymore, I just walked away, and unfortunately walked away from $25,000 because it was non-refundable to me, even though they screwed me over. But anyway, so when this whole thing came about with, I saw this ad for Fortune Builders. I kind of looked through that, and it was always interested in looking into real estate, and I joined. And I joined because they talked about passive income, right? And that was what intrigued me, the passive income aspect of it. And when I joined the passive income club, we were talking about different markets, and the person at the time, her name was Danica, and she says, "You got to go JWB. You got to talk to JWB," and that's how I got to you, Greg. So and it's been great. And I had the opportunity to, again in 2019, I was home recovering from my first hip surgery, and I bought 2 properties, and bought my second one during my second hip surgery in 2020. So crazy story. It's like,
Hip surgeries just make you think about buying rental properties, huh, Tony?
you know what? So I buy my fourth property, knock on wood, no medical urgencies that have to be taken care of, but I'm on fourth property anyway. So
Well,
that's
thank you for sharing that story. I'm sorry that you had to go through a little bit of pain to get to us. It's you know, honestly, many investors and many of those, maybe those in the audience right now can relate. Usually there's a big need for you to do something like buying a rental property thousands of miles away from where you live and having somebody that you trust to manage it on your behalf, especially if you're not a real estate investor. Like, there's some big pain that you had, there's some big need that you had, and many times it takes a while to find, right? You got to kiss a few frogs before you get to the prince, or whatever they say there, right? Many times we've all incurred those challenges. Was that good?
Yeah,
I was just laughing at me.
a little bit. I'm looking forward to calling you Prince GC. Go ahead.
I don't know. Sometimes I just say things and it doesn't really sound that great. Anyway, but here's the value, right? We all take missteps. I took missteps in the beginning, right? We all take missteps. And I just think you should be applauded for not curling up into a little ball and being like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to try and do something that might be outside of the norm. Again, I'm not going to do something that I think can really help. It's very easy to do that. Some people never take a chance, and then when they do and they get burned, they never ever take another chance. And so I'm really happy and I'm proud of you for doing it.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And during that time in my life, and I look back, it was just 2008 and 9. It's like 2008. I went to school at night, so I got my degree in May. Lost my dad in June, and then I lost my job in November, which is like 1 year of craziness, right? And like you said, Greg, it's like you have an option of how to handle that, right? You can either just pull back and retreat and just do whatever. But no, I moved forward from that time in my life, and fast forward to 2019, I was able to get back on my feet and actually buy those properties. And so now I'm looking at other ways, because I'm for my business, right? So it's the buy and flip, buy and hold, and wholesale. So that's what I'm working towards now, so I can buy more properties and to be more diversified, Airbnbs and such like that. So yeah.
So I'm trying to take your story and just kind of crystallize it, right? I always try to understand what was the motivating factor. It sounded like when you lost your job, right, you needed to find a new income source, right, of your active income, which would be like active real estate, wholesaling or flipping real estate, but you also wanted to build that long-term passive income stream as well. And you want to do that with a partner that you can trust. Tried the first time with Supercuts, didn't work, right? But you can see where those same elements of wanting to create, go into a system that's already built, right? A process, a team that you can trust to help you guide you. That's what you were searching for. And then, it didn't work out, but that's what ultimately brought you to investing in Jacksonville, Florida, investing with JWB. It's those same elements, except this time we got it right.
Yeah. No, it was good. Yeah, it was great. I was very grateful for Danica for sending me to JWB. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, Tony, the story of having a really, really tough year and back against the wall and how you react, man, I really echo with that stuff. I think it's really cool that you shared that. And I think now we get to kind of share how far you've come when Gregg reviews your portfolio here, man. You ready for This Is Your Life, Tony D?
Yeah.
All right, my friend. This is the best part of the week for me, right?
You love this, dude.
I love this.
Yeah.
I was putting this together late last night, right? And I'm just like, man, I can't wait to share this with Tony here. So, Tony, do you look at your client ROI report? I always ask that question right off the bat.
You know what? I think after a few of the folks that were on Thursday, I went back and actually looked at it a little bit, but I was kind of not delving into too much, Greg, so I knew that you would do it for me in a much better way. And
yeah, well, I'm excited to share it with you. So for any of those clients who are listening or potential clients, all this information is available for all of our clients on a monthly basis. And we have scheduled routine calls if you would like it to speak with our portfolio managers here at JWB so we can keep you up to date. All this except a little bit of extra special stuff that I throw in at the end on all of these reviews, these portfolio reviews. So that, we're going to jump right in. Anthony, the first thing we always start with is your why. That's that big motivating factor that caused you to take this do this crazy thing of investing in rental properties with a company you never knew before in Jacksonville, Florida, even though you live in Jupiter. And like we just talked about, right? Retirement was important for you, especially coming out of a job that was no longer there for you. We had to replace that somehow. And then we talked about leaving a legacy. Would you mind just kind of sharing what that means to you?
Yeah. So, Greg, I came from a very, very blue collar family. I'm number 5 of 6 kids. My mom and dad, they just, their whole entire life was just taking care of their children. They never really had much, but they had us, and that was their want. And so, as I look with my 2 daughters who are adults now, one's married with a 11-month-old baby, the other one's, lives up in Orlando. And, I just want to just kind of show them that I always talk about real estate, and I want to show them that, hey, this is something that I want to do. I know it's outside of the norm of, 9-to-5 jobs, stuff like that, but you know what? There's a whole different world outside there that you have to explore and learn about, because, you can live a better life if you know what's out there. And I learned a lot. So for my daughters, I have 4 properties. So when the time comes, they'll have 2 and 2. And, but yeah, I just want to do that and leave something for them and for my grandchildren at some point, down there, many, many, many years down the road, Greg.
So cool. We love that. That's how we get to start a lot of our conversations with clients, right? Understanding what's motivating them. It's the most beautiful part of the job, right? And then from there, what we get to do, we get to break that down into numerically. What do we need to accomplish for you? So we break that down into a monthly passive income number. For Tony, it's $10,000 a month is what we needed to build a portfolio to create for him. We broke that down into a number of properties. We do this internally with our team and with you, and we figure this out. And for Tony, it came out to 20 properties over a period of time is how many we would like to accomplish. We're at 3, according to the ones that are closed right now. And so that's what's on the client ROI report. And as you can see, Tony's been working towards number 4 here, just like his date of next purchase showed here. We're going to hold you accountable to that. We hope you hold yourself accountable to that, because that's going to help you get to your passive income goal.
Yep, absolutely.
So with that, let's start to look at how we've actually worked together. Over the past 2.5 years, we've earned a 12.8% return on investment, not including home price appreciation. So a little bit of extra sprinkle of stuff that I get to throw on at the end as I get to show the full picture, including home price appreciation, which we'll look at in just a second here.
Awesome.
So 12.8%, incredible. Again, not even talking about the incredible home price appreciation. Now, as a part of that 12.8%, that's made up of net rental income. Net rental income is $12,023 for Anthony here. That is just what's hit his bank account. That is not even including some of the other profits. So over $12,000 in the last 2.5 years. Fantastic. And then the other stuff is really monumental as well. When you add in tax savings and principal pay down, it gets Anthony up to $34,392 that his portfolio has performed for him. Pretty cool, right, Anthony?
Yeah, it's good. Good stuff, Greg.
All right, my friend. So this is the portfolio review, and these are the 3 properties that Anthony has owned for almost 2.5 years now. He has his first property on Alta Vista Street. You can see he purchased that for $165,000, and you can also see the loan interest rate 2 years ago was 4.5%. Right, same interest rate for Oriole Street, and that one was at 153. And then he purchased the one on Francis Street in June of 2020. At $156,000, and his interest rate was 4.25%. So Anthony, I just like to line this up to what you were sharing earlier on, right? Your strategy has been, with the resources that we have, let's focus on lower priced properties so that we can maximize the number of assets that we have in the portfolio. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, Greg, back in 2019, if you look at your average pricing for your homes, is probably somewhere in the vicinity of where I purchased these homes for, right?
Exactly.
There was some that the 4.2s were a little bit higher, but these just worked out well for me. And yeah, so.
Exactly. That's what we're talking about, right? The reason I come so strong with everybody and let you know if you're thinking about making a decision in rental properties to buy right now, that this is the lowest it's going to be priced, in my opinion. The same thing I was saying 2 years ago in 2019, in 2020, right? Supply and demand were just so clear that pricing was going to go up. It has. And the good thing for everybody is that I still expect it to go up a lot from here too, especially over next year, 2022.
Right.
So here's where we get to do a little bit of extra stuff here. So I always find that clients it's easily forgotten what the original expectations were for the rent that we were going to collect versus the rent that we're collecting now. And so I can do a little bit of research, Anthony. It's really cool to see that for all of your properties, we were expecting right around either $1,175, $1,225, $1,275 in rent for those 3 properties based on the original evaluation.
Right.
Looked them up right now, and each one of those properties is receiving more rent than we told you we would expect. $25 additional monthly cash flow, which, $25 a month doesn't sound that much to me, right? Does it sound like life-changing for you?
No, not super life-changing.
No, but here's where it's going to be super life-changing. We just talked about how like cash flows a couple of years ago were like $100 a month or $150 a month. When you get closer and closer to break even, which is where this industry, this space is going, $25 makes a big difference a month, right? If a company out there is telling you that it's going to rent for this, but they come in $25 a month, right? That's $300 a month of additional cash flow, right? On the other side, companies are going to be super, super incentivized to get aggressive with their rent numbers. I am very sure that there's going to be a lot of companies out there that are concerned about selling properties at break even. They don't understand all of those profit centers, and they're going to go way aggressive with telling you what the rent they're going to be able to receive, and they're going to come $25 under or $50 under. So be aware of that. That's just supply and demand, right? That is where that incentive is going to be for other turnkey providers out there. But for Anthony, it's going the right direction, right? $75 a month of additional cash flow across 3 properties. It's $900 a month of additional cash flow for the year for him, and just continues to add to that and to achieve that 12.8% return.
That's sweet.
All right, Anthony, we always want to show the highest lifetime return. We want to show the lowest lifetime return for your property here. On the high side, it's your property on Oriole Street. You've received 14.28% returns over the lifetime, and we told you to expect 10.3%. Do we like that, Anthony?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
More of that, right? Let's go to the low side. We just want to show both sides of the coin here. On the lowest side, it's a property on Francis Street. Now, we call this the lowest side, but look at this, right? We told you to expect 12.96% returns. You're at 12.94. I think we'll take that. So Anthony, I've gone through a bunch so far, a bunch of stuff. What did I miss? What are some of the positive things, or what are some of the negative things that you've experienced in owning these properties for the last 2.5 years?
The only negative thing I've had, Greg, was that my pump went on my septic tank. It cost me a lot of money, but that was, those things happen, right? And that's why, as we go in, nothing's guaranteed. And I know that in November we had one of my tenants. They fell behind in their rent, but they were to get back on track. Because we were looking at in early December of how to handle all this, and I'm like going crazy, going like, I don't want to kick anybody out in the holidays.
Right.
So let's give them some time to get back on track, which they did. So knock on wood, all my tenants are they're up to date with their rent, and everything is going great. In 2019, I was able to come down to Jacksonville. Greg, I didn't have a chance to meet you. I don't know why. Tour of my properties, and I able to walk through my two properties that I own. One of which there was a tenant there, and the other one, the one on Alta Vista, the older property, that was still vacant at that time. But it was great, got to stand in front of the picture. This is mine, and it was a proud moment.
I find that when we do our client tours, the ability for you to walk and meet your resident is a really critical moment for a lot of our owners, because a lot of our owners want everyone to do well in this investment. They don't want to feel like a resident is somehow being taken advantage of. So when they get to see that resident, meet that resident, it doesn't happen every time. We don't always get to coordinate with the resident. They get to meet them. But when they do, and they see a smile on their face, and they talk about how they've been renting with JWB for 3 years, it completes the loop.
Good news is we're not done here with the good news, Tony. You ready? You ready to smell something else pretty?
This is like Oprah, like you get a car, you get a car, you get a car, you get great returns on investment.
Let's go. Let's see it.
So here's all the 5 profit centers that we talk about. And I just think it is more critical now than ever to fully understand why this investment is so valuable compared to your other alternatives. You can't do that unless you understand all 5, right? Your 5 profit centers are net rental income, tax savings, principal pay down, home price appreciation, and inflation hedging. And here is how Anthony is performing beyond just the cash flows. So we talked about how he's earned over $12,000 in net rental income. On the tax savings side, which most people never pay attention to, Anthony has saved $10,045 in taxes that he doesn't have to pay simply because he's investing in this asset class.
Right.
On the principal pay down side, this is Anthony's residence paying down his loan for him, a beautiful thing. $12,325 of principal on his loans has been paid down by somebody else. That is real return right there, but many investors overlook it.
Yeah.
And now we're coming to the big kahuna here. Home price appreciation, right? $173,688 in home price appreciation gains in 2.5 years for Anthony.
That's amazing.
Brother, I'm really, really fired up for you. What does it mean to see that, and then also relate it back to how you made your decision, right? How important, how did you think about home price appreciation when you made your decision? Was it just extra bonus on top, or was that the reason you decided to invest?
Well, I knew I would see that down the road a bit. I didn't think I would see appreciation of that dollar amount in just 2.5 years, right? I mean, so that's like, the sprinkle on the cake, and that's awesome. And when I was looking at doing the refi on my properties, working with John Siebert, and we're looking at that, the number wasn't that high, but I think, and I trust you more than I trust him at this point, because your number's a lot higher. So we'll go with your number, because and then you take out 70% of the of that which is available to pull out on a refi. That's could be almost another two properties. So in addition to the non-recourse and this, but I need to pull some. I need to save some money on the side for some other things I'm working on. But yeah, that's amazing. It's awesome.
Well, this would be great. What I'm going to do after this is I'm going to connect with Sarah, and I'm going to have her reach out to you, and then we can coordinate with John, because regardless if purchasing another property is the right move for you or not, that doesn't matter to me at this point. But knowing exactly how much money is there in equity, you can use that equity in a number of different ways to improve your passive income. It could be private lending or syndications or any of these other ways to do it as well. So I'll connect with Sarah afterwards, and then she'll connect you and John, and we'll see if there's even more equity that's been gained that you can potentially pull out.
Yeah, great. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then lastly here, right, what it all comes down to is your return on investment from all 5 profit centers. When you invested your portfolio with us, we shared with you that we would be able to earn a 10.36% return on investment. I see you laughing. You got a great big smile on your face. 34.5% return on investment is actually what you've earned. And I think it's fair to say that, yes, we are beating expectations. Congratulations, brother.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's great. Can I get a copy of this slide?
Yeah, I'll share all this information with you, and I'll show you the breakdown of how I get these numbers as well. I'll make sure I share that with you and with Sarah.
It's good because when I'm talking to family and friends, and I'm telling them what I'm doing, and why I'm so happy about what I'm doing, and to show them that, look, here are the numbers. These numbers don't lie. This is what it is. This is how much my property is appreciated. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I think it's really, obviously, pictures worth 1,000 words, Greg. Right? So so it'd be great. Thank you.
You got it, brother.
Awesome.
Now
man.
you have, I never expected you to receive this much appreciation when you started to invest 2 years ago. So these results, what do they say? Results are not typical over a 2-year span. These results are not typical, but
in the right way.
Yeah, we love it. We love it for Anthony. But this concept of all 5 profit centers resulting in better and beating expectations for us is very typical, right? Because we price our assets, we ask clients to invest, not counting on home price appreciation. Yeah. And then when you invest for a full market cycle, it happens, right? You invest for 10 to 20 years, it happens. It gives us an opportunity to under promise and over deliver. So I'm excited for you, my man.
Yeah, no, it's good because, Greg, you talk a lot about the cycle, the property cycle of the property. And I'm like thinking, like, Greg, he's talking about that, but I'm 61, 20 years, I'll be 81. That's too long. So it's kind of like cool because I'm really seeing appreciation more upfront, right? So it's not taking me 5, 7, 8 years to see that number, which probably 10 years ago, that's how long it would have taken you to gain that, right? Yeah. So it's really cool. And like I said, we talk later on about, what I can do with what's sitting there in equity in my properties and make it work even better for me. Great. Thank you.
I love this. I love this segment. I love the fact that we've started incorporating guest investors in here. On Tuesday this week, we're talking about a different subject, but I'm super, super pumped about it. We are bringing on Ralph Pena, who is a former banker that left the banking industry because he saw so much opportunity in the blockchain, right? In crypto and NFTs and whatnot, that he could not, with good faith, keep giving people advice that wasn't about this stuff. So he's coming on to break out tokenomics, right? The economics of crypto and NFT, what we're calling the tokenization of currency. It's going to be Tokenomics 101. I'm super, super pumped about this. I hope people come with us. But before we say bye to everybody, Tony, if you have somebody that's coming to you asking you, I'm thinking about getting into real estate, I'm thinking about this rental property stuff, what would be your number one advice that you would give to anybody that's thinking about getting into this asset class?
I would tell them to reach out to JWB. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer because the processes that you put together, Greg, and your team, make it so easy to do what we're doing. I mean, it's not a complicated way to invest. Appreciate you guys.
And stay tuned to the show, man. We got tokenomics coming up. We got a couple of, after that, the week after, it's a guy that wrote the Alternative Investing Almanac, right? Like we're expanding the tent. We're going to teach everybody about all the different asset classes. After that, we got somebody wrote the book called The Lifestyle Investor, right? It's going to get real interesting out here on Tuesdays. So it's going to be really, really fun. I want to tell you right now, if you are listening on the podcast, we love you. Thank you so much. Feel free to leave a review, but honestly, just go to nyais.com. Come meet Tony, come meet Jen, come meet Leo, come meet Marilyn. Meet our community here in the chat. It's a lot of fun. And of course, I want to thank our community for showing up. We had 40 plus people on this show for over an hour, giving love to Tony, giving love to us, asking great questions. We never take it for granted, right? That people take an hour out of the middle of their day. I love being a part of this. GC, I will leave it to you for last words, man.
Just very appreciative, Tony. It's been awesome to serve you, to have you as a friend of JWB, and to have you as a part of the meetup community as well, and to have you here on the show. You're a rock of this community.
Thanks so much. Thanks. It's great.
You.
Thank you, everybody, for the nice comments. That's really appreciated. You guys are awesome. We'll see you on Tuesday.
See you on Tuesday, and then we'll see you on June 24th. There's no meetup without Anthony being there, so you're there.
Let's go.
Pablo, find us a karaoke bar.
Dude, I knew you were gonna say it. I will come through with karaoke that night. I failed us once. I will not fail us in karaoke again. Duet, Pablo and GC, karaoke, June 24th. All right, I'll see you on the next show.
See you guys.